guys, welcome to today's video. So these are the materials and measurements that we are going to be using for this, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first thing that you would see me do is to mark a 1/2 inch line at the top of my paper. This is going to serve as my shoulder line. So on that line, I'm going to add my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches, come down from that point by 1 inch, and also add my shoulder width, which is 4 inches. And then I'm going to connect my shoulder width to the slope that I created, and just like that, we have our shoulder slope. Next thing, we are going to impute our armhole measurement. You can get that by dividing your bust by 6 and adding 1.5, and I got 8.5, so I just marked 8.5 there, drew a straight line across and extended the line out. The next thing we're going to do is to take all our measurements, which is my bust point measurement, under bust point measurement, and my waistline measurement. You could also go ahead and add the top length now. I didn't add it now, but you would see when I add it later on in the video. I'm just going to connect all these with a straight line so that it is visible to you, and I'm going to go ahead and label them bust points, under bust points, and waistline. I wanted my top to be basque. I wanted it to, have that curve in front, so I added 5 inches from my waistline, and that will serve as my top length. So if you had added this before now, it is still the same thing, and you are still right on track. So I just added that line there, and that is my top length. Now I'm going to impute my nipple to nipple measurements. Mind you, I did not add any sewing allowance on this pattern. I just added the measurements the way they were. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 8 divided by 2, that is 4. So I marked 4 all around from my bust line to my top length. And then on my shoulder line, which is the shoulder slope as well, I measured what I had there and divided it by 2. So I had 4 inches there, and after dividing it by 2, I had 2, and I just connected that line to meet my bust line. Now the point where these two lines meet is my nipple point. The next thing is to work on my armhole. I'm going to divide my armhole measurement by 2 and mark that point. Then from there, I come in by 1/2 inch. And on my chest line, which is this line you see me extending, that's my chest line, I'm going to impute my bust measurement. So my bust is 42.5 divided by 4 was 10.65. So I just added that there, and I'm going to connect these 3 points together. If what I'm saying is not understandable, please just watch what I am doing. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. Now we're coming to our under bust. I'm going to go towards the side by 2 inches and towards the center by 1 inch. This is because I'm on the busty side. So you could go from 1.5 inches to 2 inches. It just depends on how busty the person is. I'm using 2 inches and 1 inch because I'm busty. And then I'm going to come down from my bust point by 1 inch and just connect those two lines with a curve. So the reason for coming down by 1 inch is to create room for my bust to sit properly. That's why I did not just take it straight to my nipple point. I came down by 1 inch. And I'm just going to connect those lines straight down to my top length. Now we want to take our shoulder dart. We have 3 inches on our under bust, and I'm going to divide that unequally on both sides. So towards the side, I'm going to take 1.75 inches, and towards the center, I'll take 1.25 inches. By the time I add that, I'm still going to have 3 inches, but I did not share it equally on both sides. And I'm just going to connect this to my nipple points. So these parts that you see me shading off are our dart intake, and we're going to be cutting those off later on in our drafting. The next thing we want to go ahead to do right now is impute all our horizontal measurements, which are measurements that run across the body. So this is my under bust measurement divided by 4 is 8.5. So I marked that and also added the 3-inch dart intake that I had removed earlier. Note that this allowance I'm adding is not sewing allowance. It is just a replacement for what we took out while creating our darts. I did the same thing on my waistline. I added my waist measurement, which was 9 inches, and added the 3 inches dart intake back. And then I came to my chest line, took my bust measurement, which was 10.65, and measured what I had in the darts, because this dart was going to take away from my from my chest line. So I added that back, and then I came to my shoulder. Please, I want you to pay attention. I came to my shoulder to replace the dart that I had taken in earlier, which was 3 inches. So I just slanted my tape and measured 3 inches outward and connected it into my previous shoulder. And with my armhole curve, I just created a new armhole. So I'm connecting the new shoulder point to the new bust measurement on my chest line. And having done that, I'm going to connect that to my under bust measurement with a straight line. The next thing I want to do now is to just work on my neckline. I'm going to come down by 5 inches and connect that 5 inches to my shoulder width, which was 4 inches. And now on my top length, I'm going to add the measurement around where my top stopped. I'm going to add that there, and then add the 3 inches dart intake as well. So my top length round measurement was divided by 4 was 9, so I added 9 there, and then I added the 3 inches allowance and just connected with a straight line. And if you are not making a basque waistline, you can as well leave your pattern like this. You are done at this point, but I want to create a basque waistline, so I'm just going to cut out my pattern first of all. I'm cutting out without any allowance, without any sewing allowance. I'm just cutting out the exact measurements, taking away my darts and everything. Just cut the way you see me doing. And now I'm going to place this on top the other. Just watch what I'm doing closely. This is how I'm going to get my basque measurement. So I'm just placing this on top each other like so. If you have masking tape, you can use it to hold it down, but I'm just going to do this with my free hand. So after creating this and then knowing the shape of the basque I want, I'm just going to place my curve and cut it out just like you see me doing. After marking that, still make sure you arrange it properly before cutting. And with that, I've created the basque waistline that I want for my top. Now we move to the back pattern. For this, from my shoulder line, I'm just going to come in by 1.5 inches, and that is going to serve as my zipper allowance. So I'm going to come down vertically by 1.5 inches all through. And from that 1.5 point, that's where I'm going to start taking all my horizontal measurements. So just the same thing I did in front, my shoulder width, my shoulder measurement, and my shoulder slope. And then I also came down and, imputed my armhole measurement, marked it into a straight line. I marked it along, and then I marked it across. For this, I don't need to put my bust point or my under bust point. I'll just go straight down to my waist point, and then I'm going to draw that out with a straight line. Now on my chest line, I'm going to impute my bust measurement, which is 10.65. And then on my waistline, I'm going to be taking in that. So I'm going to add 1 inch to my waist measurement and just mark it there. Then I'm going to place my ruler and just draw a straight line connecting those 2 points. I also decided to extend my chest line so that would just serve as the top of my dart. And on that line, I took in my nipple to nipple measurement again and drew a straight line. This is going to serve as my dart. So by the time I take 1/2 inch on both sides, it's going to take in the 1 inch that I added to my waist measurement earlier. For my back neckline, I wanted it a bit deep and boxy, so I came down by 7 inches and came in by the same 4 inches and just connected it like so. And then I labeled my zipper allowance so that I know that is what it is. Also, on the waistline of my zip allowance, I came in by 1/2 inch and connected it straight up. I did this to avoid any zipper bulge at the back. And with that, as I was cutting, I realized that I had not added the armhole curve for my back pattern. For this, you don't need to come in by 1/2 inch. You just need to connect your bust measurement into your armhole line and just cut it out as you see me doing. And with that, we are as good as done. So this is my center front that I'm going to cut on fold. This is my side front and this is my back piece, guys. It is so easy if you follow the step-by-step tutorial. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and don't forget to share. Bye.